appreciate you taking time to be here. I know we made it fairly convenient for you. Your office is not too far.
4 blocks down the street.
Okay. So your commute wasn't totally destroyed by coming to this.
Well, the UN is in town, so it was a bit disruptive, but certainly can't complain about that.
Okay. So I want to focus, a couple of areas that I want to focus on with our time here. First is your career and your path and sort of what led you to where you are today. And then I want to dig into the work at JPMorgan Chase that you do. So we'll get to that second. But first talking about your career and your development. How did you get into the world of learning and development? What would you say is the path that you took there?
Sure. Before I do that, let me start by saying I'm delighted to be here today. And if the adage is true that 90% of success is about showing up, I would like to recognize all of you for your success. As you know, not only is the UN in town again, but as we think about the work that we're doing as professionals, the fact of the matter is the real challenge is both the volume of knowledge that gets created every day within our organizations, within the broader ecosystems that we occupy, and then the pace of that information in terms of how it impacts us, how it impacts our employees, how it reshapes consumer behaviors of individuals that our firms that we interface with, and how that consumer behavior just continues to raise the bar in terms of the expectations of what our companies, our institutions, our employees are looking for from learning organization. So this ability to come to forums like this, to share information cross industry, cross regions, is vital in terms of us remaining thought leaders in our organizations and really reshaping how we go to market with respect to delivering for our companies, for our not-for-profits, for the communities that we occupy. So again, thank you very much for being here today. Now, what was that question again? Only joking. As I think about certainly my role as Chief Learning Officer within JPMorgan Chase, I really think about it as an accidental career. And I am so impressed when I go to college campuses, when kids from college campuses come to our institution and they tell me about their 5-year plan and where they want to be. And I look at them, I smile, and I say, boy, the world's going to change in 2 years. So, but I certainly don't dishearten them. And I talk about sort of my career as being the accidental career because as I started at JPMorgan Chase more than 25 years ago, I never had any ambition of becoming a Chief Learning Officer for the organization. My aspiration at that time was to be a branch manager. And as I accomplished that, other opportunities emerged. And I would say that those opportunities, one, that led me to the branch manager role, that emerged post the branch manager role, are really a function of this notion of continuous learning, or what many of us consider lifelong learning, and ensuring that we have ability to adapt to not just consume information, but turn that information into knowledge, into skills, into behavior change that allow us to deliver more value towards the organization. So I think we understand the import of knowledge. As I think about my career, it really is one that has been highly influenced by some of the best training programs that organizations can deliver. And as a result, moving into learning certainly was something that appealed to me because I became shaped by the type of training, the type of learning that happens as a continuum at JPMorgan Chase as we continue to strive for better, faster, and different ways to support our clients whose behaviors are being shaped so radically, not by the financial institutions, but by the likes of Apple and Amazon and what they expect when they interface with those companies, the friction-free engagement, and how do we integrate that in a way that allows us to deliver value for scale. So as a learning officer, our objective, or I should say my objective, is really to focus on how do we increase organizational capacity for performance via our people. And as a result of having that as an objective, it really shapes a win-win for the employees that we bring into roles, because we want them to be as successful as possible and to find a career trajectory that really aligns with their aspirations. But it also aligns well with our business units, who understand by ensuring the success of those employees, our ability to meet our key performance indexes also increase. So it puts all of us, I think, in a catbird seat with respect to being able to be responsive to the needs of the individual employee who is trying to become as proficient as possible in an ecosystem that is changing right before their eyes, whether they perceive it or not, as well as our business leaders who truly are trying to transform our organization to meet the continued evolving needs of our consumers.
So one thing I want to unpack in there, you mentioned that you thought you were going to be a branch manager. Was there a learning experience that you went through while you were on that path that sort of opened up your eyes to this other thing that you're now doing? And what was that experience?
Yeah, so I think it's many experiences on that path, and moving into JPMorgan Chase, I had come out of the United States Navy after serving 5 years of active duty, and had an opportunity to enter a management development program. Part of that management development program really consists of rotating the cohort across many businesses. That really provided experiences that I had not had before historically, in terms of seeing different aspects of how we deliver value to the community, how our back offices support individuals within our branch network, our mortgage business, and it really provided sort of insights and information that my experience to that point had not provided. So it was probably then that certainly my aspiration around becoming a branch manager was unchanged, but as a result of those various experiences, really provided multiple doors that I perceived as something that was pursuable, that before those experiences I had not. And I would go even further, as I look at moving from a branch manager. In many respects, the catalyst wasn't necessarily me. As many of you have gone through, multiple organizational transactions with your firms or organizations, I think back of being in the branch manager seat. I think it was in 1996. I was managing a branch that we had at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. And I don't know if many of you have been by 30 Rockefeller Plaza, but there's no branches there now. In 96, there was a branch on the right side of 30 Rockefeller Plaza. It was Chase Manhattan. I was the manager of that branch. There was a branch on the left side of 30 Rock. It was Chemical Bank. And there was a branch on 51st Street, which was a block. You could throw a rock and hit it. It was Manufacturers Hanover. So when I was at Chase in 96, we announced the merger with Chemical, and I went down the block or right across the building to meet the other branch manager. This guy must have been about twice my age, experienced guy. I said, when they compare us, I'm not going to last long in this job. And it was really that segue that led me to move into credit training. So the opportunity to work with commercial clients presented itself. Again, yet another training program, probably a year in duration, where focused on underwriting and understanding cash flow needs of commercial entities, supported a lending team that lended to many names that are brand names that people in this audience would know. And it was really those type of accidents, I consider them, that had allowed me to string along my career with JPMorgan.
Yeah, it's sort of, I think that's a fairly common theme in many CLO careers, is a sort of opportunistic, I'll call it opportunistic, sort of these things that happen along your path that you said, hey, I didn't really realize that, but this is really something cool that I want to do. What do you think that the accidental or the opportunistic learning leader brings that perhaps is unique to the position?
So without question, one of the focuses that we have that certainly had been unique is really this notion of having a commercial focus with respect to what it is we do. As I think back of going in to see some 3+ years ago, there was a lot of reliance on what I refer to as L1 surveys, asking someone, how did you feel after taking that training, and that being a judgment of success, right? And as I've worked in businesses, whether it be our branch business, whether it be in our commercial banking business, certainly I understood that there were scorecards that allowed us to really provide a commercial lens on understanding learning effectiveness and doing that in a way that had traceability of what we were doing within the learning organization and the goals and objectives of the various businesses we support. Whether those objectives were around the service experience of employees and understanding how they're delivering effectively to our customers. And if we're training for service, it's not just about how someone feels when they come out of the class. It's, are we achieving the behaviors, the skills, the knowledge transfer that's necessary to make that employee more successful? So ensuring that we had traceability to those individual scorecards. If we were doing lending, again, ensuring that that individual was able to exhibit underwriting skills that were commensurate with our ability to deliver a fortress balance sheet to the firm and not run into significant losses. If we were doing sales practices, were those sales practices fully aligned with our aspiration as a company to deepen relationships, to deliver value to our consumers? So really ensuring that as we reconstituted our measurement process, that we reconstituted that process in a way that really resonated with those business leaders that we were supporting, so they understood that the time that we were taking with their talent really was ensuring that we were delivering more proficiency more effectively. And I think we certainly understand, and it's empirically evidenced, that in many respects, the learning curve is the earning curve. And we understand that as individuals, right? Someone who has completed high school is going to make less than someone that's completed college, associate degree. Someone who's completed associate's degree is going to make less. And this is empirical. This isn't my opinion, than someone who's got a bachelor's. Someone who's got a bachelor's is going to make less than someone who's got a master's degree. That's about skills, that's about knowledge, that's about behavior. And as we think about sort of the commercial focus of that, the same holds true in our companies. To the extent that we have effective learning organizations that are delivering against our collective aspirations of improving those skills, of improving that knowledge, of changing that behavior, our business is going to do better because it's really that talent that we're all so dependent upon. And our ability to measure that, to demonstrate and illustrate that delta with respect to the work that we do within our organizations resonate with the CEOs and help us secure those investment dollars that we need in order to continuing to evolve our respective organizations.